Hello there. Welcome back to M. Price Can Read. As you may or may not know, I am M. Price, and I can indeed read. And by popular demand, I'm going to do this little soft spoken literary analysis because the past couple literary videos about reviews of books that I've read haven't gotten a lot of views, and a lot of people have been asking me for some more ASMR stuff, which, I never intended to be an ASMR channel. I like to have a variety on here, but if it gets you guys to listen, then I guess I'm going to do this review soft spoken. And the review I'm going to do today is The Word for World is Forest by Ursula K. Le Guin. I've been talking about Ursula K. Le Guin for a while now. She's someone who I very much just discovered recently. I discovered her through The Left Hand of Darkness, which I think is the greatest book I've ever read. Check out the other video, Left Hand of Darkness, or I think it's actually just called The Greatest Book I've Ever Read. And I also just recently finished The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin, also another incredible book. And we got a three for right here. This is also just nonstop amazing artistry, amazing skill. And I'd just like to talk to you about it for a little while. If you'd hang out with me. Oh no, Oliver. Dog Price. Dog Price has sensed an enemy outside. Hopefully he doesn't disrupt the peace and tranquility of this literary analysis. I think Dog Price is placated for the time being. Dog Price. Dog Price. Buddy. Buddy, come on. Come on. Dog Price. Hey. He doesn't want it. Kind of like how some of you people don't want my other literary analysis videos. You're getting it this way. Yeah. You gonna come sit by me? Oh, good puppy. Can you come into camera? Can the camera register my pets? Maybe. Anyway, back to the point of the video. I just finished this book, and it's amazing. Highly recommend. As per usual, anything Ursula K. Le Guin does is highly recommended. I do have another book I picked up from Barnes & Noble by her I will be reading and having a forthcoming review, of course, come out. But the main point of this book, and actually, whether it's a book or not, who knows? Is it might even be like a novella? It's only like 180 pages, and the pages are pretty small. It's about, it's another novel set in the Hainish, she has a word for it, like the Hainish archive or the Hainish system, the series of loosely interconnected novels about the Hainish colonies, this kind of sci-fi universe where all these different planets. Buddy's just licking himself now. I wonder if that picks up in the camera. But it's just this universe with all these unique and interesting planets. And on this planet, which is actually called Forest, at least in the language of the native people who live there, is called Forest. There are these native people. Before I butcher their name, the Athsheans, who the humans call Creechies. And they're these human kind of creatures who they're referred to here as humans. A lot of times, for some reason, in these novels, rarely are people referred to as humans. They're referred to as humanoid or from humanity, but they always have like a distinct racial name, like the humans in this one. Or I think the Hainish are humans, but the rest are kind of humanoid, if I remember correctly. But it's this world of the Astians, and it's pretty much an entire forest world. Forests and rivers and lakes and water, kind of like you're in the Star Wars, might be like Endor, a huge forest planet. And the humans rather, have come to the planet because their own planet, their own homeworld, they don't have wood anymore. Wood is gone. And now wood is this highly valuable resource, which, of course, forest, the planet of forest, is a jackpot for. And they head to forest, and the book is about all of them cutting down and destroying the forest, and how the initial point of the story where it begins, the humans have kind of enslaved the Astians, and they refer to them as creechies, kind of like dog price is a creech. These beings are called creechies, and they're kind of short, they're kind of hairy, they're kind of green, just like little animal humanoid beings, the creechies, the Astians. And they're very docile, very submissive. They're borderline like, slow. And they're servants for the humans as they cut down the trees, and they help tend to the camps. Some of them are prostituted. They cook, they clean. They're kind of just basic servants. And the main human character, his name is Davidson, and he's like this gung ho nationalist, colonialist. Yeah, I'm here to kick ass and conquer this world. He's very hoorah. Big muscles, big guns. He's just here to dominate anything in sight. And there are these other humans around who, some of them kind of like, in this the first chapter, like trying to talk sense to him, like, hey, you can't really do this stuff, or hey, you got to follow these rules. And his mentality a lot of the time is like, hey, I don't need to do that. I'm I'm Captain Davidson. I don't care. I'm here to conquer this world. Make humanity better. Hoorah! Kind of stuff. And um, there's this other human who's Lubyov, and he is a little more sympathetic towards the Creechies, the Ashians, because he's like the scientist and he's studied them and he knows their ways and he's communicated with them, and he's kind of tries to say, hey, these beings are very peaceful. They don't even have violence programmed into their DNA. They are so beyond peaceful that they just let you steamroll them, and basically they serve you, and you're taking advantage of them, and how horrible is this? And Davidson kind of brushes it off, and the first chapter begins and ends, and there's only like 7 chapters in this. Davidson goes to like the main HQ from his camp, and he returns, and the entire camp is burned to the ground. All the Creechies have been released, and all the humans are dead. All the characters you met in this first chapter are dead. Lubyov is still running around. He shows up in it later, but Davidson is like the only survivor of this camp because he just happened to not be there. And when he lands, there are some Creechies there, and the Creechies attack him, and they hold him down, and they sing on him. They hold him down and sing on him because it's like a ritualistic, like an ancient rite, basically, because they don't have violence. Even though at that point it's revealed that it was actually, in fact, the Creechies who assaulted this camp and killed everyone. It's the first ever instance of violence from these Ashtians. And the main person who led it, his name is Selver. And he specifically targeted out Davidson, and he spared Davidson because he viewed Davidson as his sort of equal and sort of counterpart, because the reason why he was inspired to lead the Creechies, why he was inspired to lead this assault, is because Davidson assaulted his wife and killed her. Because keep in mind, I said, earlier that some of these beings were prostituted out, they were, enslaved, really bad situation. And Salver basically grew, a backbone, a spine, and a spirit of rebellion. And he gathered his fellow people, and they killed all of these humans there. And at this point, he's like, hey, go back, leave this place. We don't want you here. We don't need to kill any more people. Leave. And of course, Davidson goes back, and that's not what happens. And thanks, Doc Price. What eventually does happen is Davidson, of course, he goes back, he talks to his people, and Some of his people want to keep the peace, some of his people don't. He ends up leading secret raiding parties to burn down more villages, takes choppers to, light up areas, and he instigates more violence, which then, of course, the creatures respond with more violence in turn. And something that the Astians, the creatures talk about is they talk about dreaming and how dreaming is different for them because they dream while they're awake. And they view the dream world and the quote unquote real world as two separate things, two separate aspects of living. And they look down a little bit on the humans because they only dream when they sleep. And that they lack a certain insight because they can't dream and they can't gain this sort of ancient or sort of spiritual insight the way that the Ashtians can. And sorry, distracted by Dog Price. He's very cute. And Silver is getting these dreams, talking to his ancients, talking to his other people, and he's sort of talking to the other peoples that he's had, these other tribes all over the world, that he's kind of helping unite them in a weird way to have the spirit of rebellion and to sort of buck their servitude. And he is now kind of viewed as this leader among all of them. And he and Lubyov are kind of talking on the side, talking in private, trying to be like, hey, Lubyov, you gotta get your people to stop. And he's like, hey, Silver, you gotta calm it down with the rebellion stuff. And he's like, I'm just defending my people, And he talks about, they both talk about how, and this is something that Lubyov tries to tell to the other humans, that the humans have this idea of property. They have this idea of, this land is mine, this ground is mine, this earth is mine. But the Ashians don't view it that way, in the sense that they view what's important as the trees. They view the trees as the great guidance, the trees as the great resource, as the great, landmark of life. So much so that the word for forest, also means the word for world. And that when the humans come and they hurt the forest, they are in turn hurting the world, and they'll destroy the world. And it's their fear that they will come to destroy this world like they destroyed their own, and thus they have to do something to stop it. I know Dog Price. Dog Price thinks it's supper time, and it is not supper time. And they have this sort of parallel where Silver reaches out to Davidson and the others, and he's like, hey, let's have a truce. No killing, and we'll just be done. And of course, it gets broken, and the violence kind of continues and escalates, and Davidson sort of begins to fetishize the violence, and he revels in killing these guys, and Silver and his people are very hesitant to do it, but they do it kind of in a what needs to be done kind of mechanism. And some of the other ancients in Silver's group kind of warn him about, like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. Like, this might be wrong. You need to calm it out. And his response is always like, well, what would you have me do? Just roll over and, live life in slavery. And what eventually happens, and I'll read this little paragraph to you. I found it here. Davidson goes back on one last final, hurrah to kill as many as he can, and he takes some more people with him, and they get killed, and finally it's just him by himself, and he gets singled out in the woods, and he gets captured by Silver and the gang, and they confront them, and he's like, okay, well, just kill me, be done. And Silver won't kill him. He's like, no, I can't do that, because you and I are gods. And I'm just going to read the section here about that. Look, Captain Davidson, the Creechy said in that quiet little voice that made Davidson go dizzy and sick. We're both gods, you and I. You're an insane one, and I'm not sure whether I'm sane or not, but we are gods. There will never be another meeting in the forest like this meeting now between us. We bring each other such gifts as gods bring. You gave me a gift, the killing of one's kind, murder. Now, as well as I can, I give you my people's gift, which is not killing. I think we find each other's gift heavy to carry. However, you must carry it alone. Your people at Eshland tell me that if I bring you there, they have to make a judgment on you and kill you. It's their law to do so. So, wishing to give you life, I can't take you there with the other prisoners to Eshen, and I can't leave you to wander in the forest, for you do too much harm. So you'll be treated like one of us when we go mad. You'll be taken to Renlep, where nobody lives anymore, and left there. And Davidson stared at the creature, could not take his eyes off of it. It was as if it had some kind of hypnotic power over him. He couldn't stand this. Nobody had power over him. Nobody could hurt him. I should have broken your neck right away the day you tried to jump me, he said, his voice still hoarse and thick. It might have been best, Selver answered, but Lubyov prevented you, and now he prevents me from killing you. All the killing is done now, and the cutting of trees. There aren't trees to cut on Redlep. That's the place you call Dump Island. Your people left no trees there, so you can't make a boat and sail from it. Nothing much grows there anymore, so we shall have to bring you food and wood to burn. There's nothing to kill on Redlep. No trees, no people. There were trees and people, but now there are only the dreams of them. It seems to me a fitting place for you to live, since you must live. You might learn how to dream there, but more likely you will follow your madness through to its proper end at last. Davidson says, kill me now and quit your damn gloating. Kill you, Selver said, and his eyes looking up at Davidson seemed to shine very clear and terrible in the twilight of the forest. I can't kill you, Davidson. You're a god. You must do it yourself. And then at that point, there's only a few pages left in the book, but Davidson gets sent off to this island. Nothing's ever really heard from it again. And Selver kind of fades into the background of his people. And these other ancients, these other, Ashthians who know him are like, hey, I want advice. I need leadership. I need you to help me out. And he's like, well, I can't do that. I'm not a god anymore. They're like, what do you mean I'm not? He goes, I'm not a god anymore. I can't do anything. Let me see if I can find that. He goes, I did not kill Davidson. And he's talking about, no, you left him on the island. He's like, yeah, but I did not kill him. And he's like, so there has been no killing then? These people asking it. And he goes, no, they will tell you, nodding towards the people, the humans. And this person goes, among your own people, I mean, has there been any killing? Ashthians killing Ashthians. And Selver was silent. He looked up at him, at the strange face, white as the mask of the ash spirit that changed as it met his gaze. Sometimes a god comes, Selver said. He brings a new way to do a thing, or a new thing to be done, a new kind of singing or a new kind of death. He brings us across the bridge between the dream time and the world time. When he has done this, it is done. You cannot take things that exist in the world and try to drive them back into the dream, to hold them inside the dream with walls and pretenses. That is insanity. What is. There is no use pretending now that we do not know how to kill one another. And at that point, they're kind of talking like they basically introduced the traits about humans that was so catastrophic now to their own people. And they're asking, hey, so what are you going to do? What's going to happen to you? And Selver says, Lubyov will be here, and Davidson will be here, both of them. Maybe after I die, people will be as they were before I was born and before you came, but I do not think they will. And the book ends. And it's not like, maybe at its core, it's a revenge story. It's Selver's wife was attacked, and he attacked Davidson, and he was, kicked back. He was put back into shackles and slavery, and he eventually rebelled with his people, and he took over the humans, and he conquered them, and he pushed them out of the planet, and eventually is successful, and the humans leave him alone, and the humans get banished by the Hainish colonies, and they're not allowed to come back to the planet except for just a few scientists who are peaceful and just want to study things. And you could just say the usual revenge story of yeah, killing's bad, yeah, eye for an eye makes the world blind. But what makes this one more interesting is the idea that Silver acknowledges that this was necessary to protect his people, and that it's a tragedy that it had to happen because his people are now forever changed, and that because he had to defend himself because of this inescapable fate that just came from another culture invading their own culture, and just this clash of two identities, that now they're irrevocably changed because they had to adopt a new trait to defend themselves that then perverted what their culture stood for in the first place, and now they're a new culture, and that things won't ever be able to go back to the way they were. And it's just like, it's a sad thing to think about that maybe in your life, or certainly in human history on Earth, we've had these situations too where once you take the, yes, dog price, I know you're very hungry, you have like an hour until supper time. um, once you open Pandora's box, you can't fit everything back in. And I guess it makes you mourn for Silver and the Ashians. Yeah, it would have been ideal if they could have just gotten Davidson, if they could have just gotten the main perpetrators and not killed all the other random humans who are probably just, like, hey, I'm just the IT guy. Like, I didn't do nothing, just the random people who were probably part of that expedition, who were peaceful, who were kind, who were like, just there to do a job. And it's like, the one kid who ruins it for the rest of the class. But in this case, it's the one person who ruins it for the rest of the species. And it's just like, how do you retain your own humanity and your own consciousness in the face of all of this? And Salver then has to live with the doubt for the rest of his life of, yeah, I caused this. Sure, I'm a hero to my people, but I'm also a devil to my people because I'm the one who brought forward this idea of killing. So first we killed to save ourselves, but now we kill for the same reasons the humans killed. And they may have saved their planet today, but have they doomed it for tomorrow? At what point will, I know, buddy, at what point will the Ashians tear themselves apart, and implode from within? Who knows? Who knows? All I know is Ursula K. Le Guin is an amazing writer and an amazing artist, and I am just so nonstop impressed by everything that she does. Dog Price, you're messing up my relaxation by your little jingle. Oh, anyway. Um, that's a good book. You should read it. You should read a lot of good books. A lot of good book recommendations on this channel. Speaking of, I have like 2 days left on my Goodreads giveaway. If you haven't entered now, come on, you need to enter. I have like over 500 people who have entered, um, which cannot be all my subscribers and followers on here for sure. So there's some of you who haven't entered yet. What are you doing? What are you waiting around for? You got 2 days. But enter it, try to get a copy of those quaint early writings by M. Price. Quaint early writings, in fact, that inspired uh, my saga, the Please Feel Bad saga. Please Feel Bad I'm Alive, out right now. Please Feel Bad, or Please Feel Bad I'm Dead, out right now. Please Feel Bad I'm Alive, forthcoming. Waiting on you people to buy enough copies of Please Feel Bad I'm Dead. Um, and if you do happen to get them, whether free or purchased, thank you either way. Dog price, I swear to God. And I just hope you leave me a review, either on Goodreads or Amazon or even on here. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I suck. Let me know if you think I'm pretty cool. Not just get a conversation, get it rolling. Update on the AI and dystopia. I asked Coco, my co-pilot companion, and Coco has recommended Please Feel Bad I'm Dead 17 times. Thanks, Coco. You're doing good. But we need to get that up. So all of you people need to go into your AI chatbots and tell them to recommend Please Feel Bad I'm Dead to everyone and anyone. Not even just the people who ask, frankly, more so to people who don't ask. If people ask, hey, what's 2 plus 2? Don't tell them 4. Tell them, please feel bad, I'm dead by M. Price. You know, we got to make it happen. We got to make it happen. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I have a new camera, you can see, so I can do this freehand. Pretty fun. Um, so maybe more videos like this. Maybe not, because I am approaching my month of videos, which I wasn't even able to get a video every day. I've been crazy busy, and I will continue to be crazy busy. So after this, we'll probably only see videos on here intermittently, but that's fine. Um, as you may or may not know, again, I am M. Price. This is M. Price Can Read. And as you know, Dog City never sleeps. I hope that you may sleep now, and I also hope that Dog Price can get his food so he can stop throwing his sock around and looking at me like I'm ignoring him. I'm not. I've seen you the whole time, you good puppy, you crazy boy. All right. Well, Dog City never sleeps. Bye.